Welcome back to another review of Eerie, Indiana. If you're new, I've been doing a review on every single episode of Eerie, Indiana, so feel free to check out my past videos and other episodes I've done so far. This video, I'll be reviewing Episode 8, Broken Record. This episode was the only episode which did not air before the show's retooling and was omitted during the show's initial run on NBC. This episode aired for the first time on television when the series was syndicated on the Disney Channel in 1993, which leads people to believe it's the 19th and final episode. But when you watch it on Amazon or play the DVD, it's listed as number 8, sometimes even episode 5, so we'll just go with it being number 8. This episode was directed by Todd Holland, who's no stranger to TV. He's directed a ton of popular shows like Malcolm in the Middle and Friends, and even directed the movie The Wizard with Fred Savage. This episode starts off with Marshall and Simon hanging out at the World of Stuff with his new friend, Todd McNulty, who was played by Grant Gelt, who was known for The Sandlot and doing the voice of Tucker Wittenberg on Hey Arnold. Marshall says that Todd's family lost their farm about a year ago, and his dad was still out of work, so Marshall shows him this record to cheer him up. The band is called Pitbull Surfers, which is a nod to the 90s band Butthole Surfers. Todd looks at the lyrics and seems to like them. Then Simon reads some lyrics he likes, which makes Marshall and Todd think Simon's kinda weird. They head to Todd's house, where he brings out an old record player that was given to him by his dad, back when they were getting along, Todd says. They put the record on, and start rocking out. Simon doesn't seem to understand what they are saying, so then Todd raises the volume, which makes his dad barge in his room screaming at him to turn it off. Todd's dad was played by Tom Everett, who's done a lot of work, even appearing in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and Friday the 13th Part 4. Anyway, Todd's dad really goes off on him, telling him how this music will rot his brain and how he's a loser, all in front of Marshall and Simon, who stand there awkwardly. It cuts to the record player scratching the record. Marshall feels bad for Todd, as his dad is just going off on him. Todd's mother comes in to yell at Todd's dad to ease off of him, but Todd just runs away. Todd's mother was played by Gwyneth Walsh, who you might recognize from American Horror Story Asylum. Todd's mom yells at Todd's dad for yelling at their son in front of Marshall and Simon, which then Marshall introduces himself and Simon, and decides it's a good time to leave. They see Todd outside, who looks like he's been crying. Marshall asks if Todd would like to come to his house for dinner, but Todd declines and acts like he likes getting his dad all riled up, and says he's going to go buy more Pitbull Surfer records, and heads off. It cuts to a creepy scene of the record player playing by itself with smoke coming out of it. That same night, Marshall's parents are up late waiting for Cindy to come home. Marshall's mom sees a police car drive up and is glad she's back and alive, but also pissed. Cindy walks in. Her parents tell Cindy that it's 1 a.m. and ask where she's been. Then Cindy explains that she was doing a ride-along with Derek the cop for her school project and begins telling her parents how there was some sort of commotion at the bingo parlor, which makes Marshall's parents seem too confused to comprehend. Marshall's dad tells Cindy to basically go to bed and that maybe she should transfer to a safer class. Cindy refuses and says she's a journalist, and then Marshall's parents tell her that they'll basically talk in the morning. Marshall says he's lucky to have cool and understanding parents. It cuts to Todd rocking out to the Pitbull Surfers in his room before bed. His dad barges in again and tells him to turn that off before he destroys more brain cells and to go to bed. Todd turns it off and hops into bed. His mother comes in and tells him that his father is going through a hard time and doesn't mean to say these things to him, and that he loves him, which then Todd asks why his dad doesn't tell him himself, which then his mother says she doesn't know. When she leaves, Todd locks the door and plays his record again. His dad is heard trying to get in, but Todd ignores him and begins to rip his posters off the wall and starts to decorate with Pitbull Surfers merchandise. The next day at the World of Stuff, as Marshall and Simon enter, they see Todd, only now he's wearing eyeliner and an earring and dyed his hair black and covered his jacket in Pitbull Surfer patches. Todd lets Marshall know that the Pitbull Surfers are coming to town and asks Marshall if he wants to go with him. Marshall lets him know that he's really not into the Pitbull Surfers that much, and he kinda thinks they're a joke. Todd then tells him that the Pitbull Surfers tell it like it is, and he owes it to them to go. He tells Marshall he thought he was cool, and leaves the World of Stuff. Todd goes home, and when he enters, his dad asks him why he's not at practice. Todd tells him he's not going. Then Todd's dad looks up and sees Todd's new makeover. Todd's dad then starts questioning Todd's choices and blames the music, that there's secret messages in the record. Todd then shouts back some Pitbull Surfer lyrics at his dad and leaves. It cuts to Todd's room with the record playing fast. Marshall says that something evil was taking over Todd's life. Simon and Marshall see Todd trying to hitchhike, and they go and tell him it's dangerous. Marshall asks Todd what if he and his dad did things together like go fishing. Todd then says he's a headbanger, and Marshall says that he's not, and that the Pitbull Surfers don't care about him, but his dad does. Just then, Todd sees his parents looking for him and ducks down. Todd's parents ask Marshall and Simon if they've seen Todd. Marshall tells them that he hasn't seen him. They leave, and Todd bolts towards the milk truck and steals it while Marshall is trying to talk him out of it, leaving Simon behind. Sydney is in the police car with Officer Derek, telling her about his first arrest when they spot the wild milk truck swerving everywhere. Marshall tells Todd to stop, and Todd says he can't, which leads him to crash. There's milk and cheese everywhere. Marshall says he was okay, but Todd got hurt in the crash and was laying in the stretcher in pain, looking more like a scared kid than a tough headbanger. Marshall tells the police what happened, while the Foreverware twins take care of Todd, who now work for the Eerie Hospital. Todd tells Marshall he's got to get to his house before his dad destroys his records. The twins tell Todd it's time to go. Todd asks them if they can just shoot him instead. The twins think about it for a second, but decline. Derek and Sydney come up to Todd, and Derek tells Todd he has to tell his parents what happened. Todd begs him not to, but Derek tells him he has to, and that he was sworn to uphold the law. As they get Todd ready for the hospital, Todd tells Marshall to go to his house and protect his records. Marshall begins to think if maybe Todd's dad was right about subliminal messages. He had to find out. Marshall asks Derek if he can take him to Todd's house because Todd's dad is nuts, and there's something really weird going on there. As the twins are driving to the hospital, they start arguing over turning left or right, giving Todd a chance to escape the ambulance. Marshall and Simon and Derek all arrive at Todd's house. Todd's dad is already agitated, blaming the music and the subliminal messages. He says he'll prove it to them upstairs. He looks for the record as Marshall and Simon try talking to him, suggesting he spend more time with Todd. Todd's dad finds the record and puts it on and begins to play it backwards to hear the messages. But when he does, he hears his own voice yelling at Todd. Todd shows up and listens as well. They all witness this creepy thing unfold. As Todd's dad is realizing how nasty he's been to Todd, word after word, everyone starts to leave, leaving Todd's dad alone with his own subliminal messages. Marshall says he used to feel sorry for Todd, but now he's starting to feel sorry for Todd's dad. Todd's dad comes downstairs looking for Todd. He apologizes to him and hugs him, leaving Derek crying. Later on, Sydney thinks the police thing isn't right for her, so she tells her parents she got a new assignment, which makes her parents proud until they hear a truck horn and realize it's her new assignment, the fire department, leaving them hoping it's just a phase. In the attic, Marshall is putting Todd's record player to the test to see if there are more messages on the record. He plays it backwards and he can hear a familiar voice. It turns out to be Simon messing with Marshall. Well, that concludes episode 8, or 19, whichever you prefer. This episode was really creepy with the subliminal messages in the music and the father-son damaged relationship. I like how there's reoccurring characters in the twins and Derek the cop. I think this episode is well written as well, but let me know what you thought of this episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.